Welcome back, guys, to another YouTube tutorial. We're gonna continue on sculpting Daniel Craig today. We're gonna make some pretty huge improvements. Just like an episode or two, he's gonna like really look like Daniel Craig. So it's gonna be a really epic journey. So I don't see why we gotta wait any further. Let's just jump right into it. Oh sorry, I forgot about it. You can use any 3D software that you want, any sculpting software. This is about the fundamentals and not about the technical stuff. So you can use any software you want to just follow along, like Blender, Zbrush, Mudbox. Yeah, so you just go ahead, feel free to follow along. So let's do this. Okay, so I begin here with just fixing the overall proportions of the nose, using the flattening brush to make some planes, or the trim dynamic, it's called in Zbrush. Yeah, I'm only using the flattening brush right now just to like really make sure that I know where all my planes are. It's really important, and it will really help with the likeness. And always remember to have a ton of reference. I had a lot of reference on the other monitor while I was doing this, so it's really important. Yeah, I can see there like something with the jaw I just created there. It looks really much like Daniel Craig's like jaw line. It's not like this straight line, it's more like this, like a little bit straight and then curve and go outwards like that. So think about that. Yeah. Now we're just erasing some geometry right there, or creating a little bit cavity just to make the jawline a little bit stronger. And I think it's starting to look really good right now, so yeah. Or really good. It's a great base, it's nothing more than a base, so yeah, you understand what I mean. Just slowly taking away a little bit of clay, just to make some final adjustments. And in this episode we're gonna start with like indicating the eyes and mouth and all of this kind of stuff that really makes the entire sculpture just look way better. Yeah, like that. Yeah, just like this. I'm just looking around the sculpture over and over again, just to see that every single angle looks like fine, or at least okay. It's really important that the overall sculpture doesn't only look good from like the front, but it actually works from the side, 3/4 view, of its view. So really make sure to that, and like check like from above and below. Those views are often not misunderstood but forgotten about. So make sure that you check those angles as well. We can kinda see how the likeness. We can see some very slight indication of Daniel Craig's facial features. Just make sure that you can see some of them, and it's gonna look really good as a base. Now we are starting to indicate the eyes, and I'm just using the clay buildup brush to create these eyes, and he has very feminine eyes. So I'm using the smooth brush as well to smooth them out a little bit. Really make sure to get that like S curve that I just created, because that makes it more look like his eyes, because he has that really like exaggerated feature with the eyes. It's a lot to think about when you create when you're sculpting Daniel Craig. Yeah, so just take your time and really like look from all different kind of angles. That's a really important part in this video, and I'm gonna mention it a ton of times, because do not forget that, and really like what's the word, compare it to images, your reference images from different angles, to really see that they match, so the likeness is starting to get on point. And now I'm just doing the same thing with the eyes again, but like more clearly. Now you can see that from the side they popping out a little bit too much right now, so I'm gonna adjust that later. You just change a little thing at a time, because all these things, as I always say, they add up, and in the end you're gonna have a really nice looking sculpture. Really be sure that the eyes, that you have created an eye cavity before you put in the eyes, because otherwise it's gonna look really weird. Now I'm adding that like a big wrinkle that's very prominent on Daniel Craig's around the eye there. It looks very feminine. It makes his eyes look very feminine, so it's really important that you block that like line into the sculpture from the beginning. And I just like to draw in the eyes like I did right there with clay, no, not clay build-up brush, dynamic brush. Damn standard brush, sorry. Yeah, my bad. I mean, now we're just doing some like sockets under the eye. It's really important to add them from like the get-go, because they really like make the overall sculpture just feel a lot more alive, and it's just great to add them. Yeah, add a lot of things around the eye, but not like detail them up, just add the like primary shapes. Like here at the nose, I'm just adding the shape for the nostrils. I'm not gonna add the actual nostrils, I'm just gonna add the shape. You see, I'm just adding the shape and then smooth it out, so everything like kinda works together. And you just draw in the nostrils. I'm not gonna actually like create some serious nostrils. Now just push them out a little bit more, but it can be really hard to nail this kind of stuff. Noses is one of the hardest thing. It's really one of the hardest things to create for me. It's so difficult, because if you don't get the nose right, the whole character is doesn't look like the character anymore. So it's really important to really like take a long time to create a really good a nice looking sculpted nose. Yeah, but that's kind of working, so yeah. Now I'm just like fixing the eyes and pulling them out a little bit and make them more like straight. You don't want them too straight, but they are still on like kind of a straight line with a curvature afterwards. Just blocking the mouth. Later in this video, I think it's when I find out about this trick that I learned in this video, so I can share that with you guys so as quickly as it pops on the screen. I'm gonna describe how I did that for you guys. It's blocking the mouth very, very easily. You can see it doesn't look really good right now, but that's okay, it's part of the process. It still looks like a mouth, so be really sure to add those, like, it really has those like hanging lips, like that. So make sure that you make it like real square, at least like the under part of the lower lip part, or what you now say. Make it really square. And here I'm just adding some like facial detail. Make sure to get that cavity in there so you don't miscollect that part. Yeah, am I just playing around with sculpture for a second? Like, happy bond, angry bond. It's really important that you have this, like, sometimes just play around with sculpture. I didn't like erase that from the clip because I thought it was just funny to show you guys that everybody just want to have fun for a couple seconds at least in between all this like serious sculpting. So I left that in the video. Now I'm just looking at every single angle again. And now you can see I look from above. That's a really important angle, because then I could see that the cheekbone wasn't really like in the right position. I needed to pull them out a little bit more so they was more prominent. Yeah, I'm just trying to like... Yeah, but this starting to look a little bit better than what it did before, at least. Yeah, and here with the lips, it's really important to get that like angle. You see there, the 90-degree kind of like angle, that like sharp angle, that like really important to get that from the like top from the head down here. All those shapes, kind of like a Christmas tree, but those are really like Dan Craig shapes. That's so important to get in there if you want it to look like Dan Craig from the side. And it's really hard with likeness, so really take your time and just fiddle around with sculpture. Yeah, now I'm thinking just gonna insert the eyes a little bit further into the head, because they were a little bit too prominent. You need to have this curvature so the eyeball can fit in the eye sockets. Maybe it's called like that. I'm not sure, but yeah. So really important that you get it right. Yeah. Now I'm just fixing like some very, very basic shapes. The eyes, making them, looking at reference to see how far should they be from one another, and all this kind of stuff that makes the overall likeness look way better. Now I'm just adding that fold right there. It's really important because it helps him look more like an adult and not as much as a child. And then a very common mistake with eyes is to make them too big, so make sure that you really get the eyes size right. So you can always have them a little bit bigger than they maybe should be, but never make them too big, because it's gonna look weird. Yeah. Now we can see that the eyes are like triangle from above, so I'm gonna change it to like a curvature, like a round curvature. It's really important that an eyeball can actually fit inside the eyes. or inside eye socket. Yeah, and just keep looking around the sculpture. It's so important to just see it from every single angle. And there you can see like the sharpness of the nose. It's really important to get these planes in. I'm trying to indicate planes whenever I can, like right here, and indicating more planes. It's so important. I'm smoothing them out a little bit so they more merge together, so they are more subtly. Because I want to take this to the next level as fast as possible, so I can really like create a sculpture that looks somewhat like 007 Daniel Craig. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's starting to look more and more human, at least. He has some likeness to Craig now, but not too much. It's a lot more work to be done. Okay, let's see. We're gonna just how the eyes look here. Yeah, I think the eyes are starting to get kind of in shape, but his eyes are like the reference image I use. They look pretty like not thin, but doesn't have the most wide opened eyes. So be sure to really look at the eye in the reference and try to like replicate how the distance is between the eyelids. I think it's called that. Otherwise, somebody please tell me what the technical name is. Yeah, and if you enjoy videos like this, like tutorials on how to sculpt a human or Daniel Craig here, for example, make sure to subscribe and like and share this video. And follow me on Instagram if you want to vote on what kind of tutorial I'm gonna do next. So follow me on Instagram. My name is Sculpture for Life. I also have a link to my Instagram if you just go into my YouTube channel. It's gonna be right next to my Venom introduction video. Gonna be a link there. Yeah, but you can kind of like see that the mouth is starting to look like Daniel Craig, and that's like really cool. So that means the overall proportions, it's starting to get there, but it's a little bit more left, a little bit more work to be done before I can call it like done. Not a little bit work, it's a lot of work. Yeah, but you see, it kind of starts to resemble him now. Really work with eyes. You see, I'm making very small changes to eyes all the time. And really make sure that you take your time. This is like my 5th or something likeness sculpt I've ever done, so don't expect it to be a really nice likeness on the first sculpt you do. And when I mean 5th likeness sculpt, I mean for human. I've done a lot of likeness sculpts on creatures and stuff like that before. Like this really like cool creatures from cool dinosaurs from like Jurassic World and stuff like that. They look very specific, so I think they're pretty hard to get likeness to. I don't really think I nailed it, but I hope to do that in the future. So yeah, now I'm just erasing something, a little bit of clay. Just smooth it out a little bit to get some more nice looking shapes. Yeah, and here we can just trying to create the chin. He has a very like small chin actually. Really make sure to look at the distance from the nose tip down to the chin, from the nose tip up to the eyebrows, and compare those with one another. And because those are really important, like measurements. I never take measurements, but I really eyeball on all my measurements and really training my like brain to be able to sculpt likeness. I see. I'm now just playing around with the size of the nose to see if it should be further out or further inwards, and with the eyes as well. In the end, I actually ended up with taking the side of his face and just matching it to an image because I couldn't nail it, and then match it from there on by eye, because it's never gonna look perfect, most probably, because you probably don't have the same focal length and stuff like that, so the face ain't gonna look exactly the same. Yeah, now I think the fold here that we talked about before starting to get some nice shape. Yeah, but it's starting to actually look a little bit like Daniel Craig, if you ask me. Yeah, but I still think like the neck is a little bit too big, so I know we're gonna change that later. But oh no, now I'm getting more on the fold here. You can clearly see how I more indicate the like muscle that sits here, helps you open and close your mouth, and really like indicate the cheekbones and around the mouth and this fold that I really talked about. It's so important really to get a more mature looking person. It's so important to create this fold. So that's why I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but be very careful, because if you exaggerate it too much, you're gonna look very old. So just make sure to find that sweet spot. You see, I'm having some trouble to know what to do as the next step, so I'm just looking to reference and comparing it with my own sculpture. That's often how it goes when it's likeness. It's a lot of just looking at reference and a lot of like just comparing, really finding all that those small problems. See, I'm just doing some light adjustments. I really like make sure like the measurement between the eyes. I also usually do a measurement from this part of the eyelid to the tip of the nose from the side to see how far the distance is. Same with the tip of the nose down to the mouth, so I usually from the tip here down to the mouth. Okay, and now I'm having this like playing around moment with my sculpture. Yeah, because I think it's very hard work for my brain to do so a likeness. I'm like to play around with my sculpture every now and then, like just destroying it and then just Control Z to get it back. Adding some more like eyebrows kind of shapes. Oh, I didn't like the eyes, maybe? Or am I just checking? I think I was just checking how the eyes should sit, so I can easily just adjust them. Yeah, you're gonna use some tricks like this, but it's a ton of work to like really get a likeness. So don't beat yourself up if this is your first time trying to draw a likeness and it doesn't go like super well. But I can help you critique it if you want to. Just if you're also trying to make like your version of Daniel Craig or something like that, and taking help by my tutorial, please feel free to send me like photos on Instagram or a 3D model, just send me like a message on Instagram and we can talk where you're gonna send, which mail you're gonna send it to, a mail you're gonna use to send it to me, so we can critique it on YouTube. You can get some critique. It's only for helping all of us to learn more about how to fix small mistakes and all of that. It's not about to like destroy somebody's art piece. I don't believe in something like that. I believe in critique because it helps you grow faster, helps you become a way better artist way quicker. So if you're interested in that, go to my Instagram, Sculpture for Life, and send me a message when you have sculpted your version of Daniel Craig. And I can see if I can help you. I'm just changing some proportions. Just fixing the chin here. It's not that much work, but together it looks like really cool and starting to look like a character. And that's really interesting when you get this from a sphere. It's really fun to just like do a time lapse and play the time lapse and really see how your art piece started and how it looks at the end. Here I'm adding that like important shape at the eyes. Really important to add that shape. Makes it look way more human, so make sure to add that shape. That curvature from here that goes down like this. And they're adding more like volume under the eyes, just to make it more like a look more like a character. Yeah, but I think it's starting to get there. Yeah, now you can see how I add some volume on the chin. That's actually really important that you add all of these volumes, because now we're starting with like mid-frequency stuff, because the overall shapes are actually blocked in. So now we want to go to the next stage with mid-frequency, not to like no high-res detail, so don't add like too much details, because we're still gonna like change stuff. You want to be very flexible when you're doing a sculpture, likeness sculpture, because you want to be able to change stuff if you see like, oh, this doesn't look correct at all. So keep yourself very flexible by keeping it most of it rough until you get the likeness like on point, and then move on to like detailing and refining the sculpt. You can see now I messed up the eyes, but that doesn't do anything because I'm keeping it rough, but he looks very sad now. It's very interesting because that Brinkley has eye that goes down makes him look like not make him look like, but makes that like curvature down from the side, but from the front it doesn't look like it has that curvature kind at all. So it's very like important to try to make it very work those shapes up really well and look at reference. How does it look from every single angle, so you nail that. Yeah, I'm adding that curvature there now, the one I just talked about. And now we're adding to, oh sorry guys, I'm tired. I'm adding at volume on eyebrows volume that really makes it like clear in between here. Really just help also with the like maturity of the character. So and he really has like he has got a really like nose that goes pretty far out, so it's really important to get that cavity in there. Indicating the skull a little bit more from side there. those muscles, I'm gonna start indicating that's on the forehead as well. It's two like big muscles that goes up like this. Just indicating each and every single finger now, just starting to improve it. One step at a time. You can really like see how this sculpture is starting to look like more and more like a human than when we began the episode, because then it looked very, very rough. It's still in a very rough stage, but it's starting to look more like refined. You can just see I'm just like in the timeline going back and forth just to see if I like it more now or if I preferred it later on. And when I went back, I saw, oh my god, I like the new sculpture much more, but the eyes looked way better before. What happened? I just saw that I put them down too much, and now I'm just pull them back up. So that's really a nice tip to just go back, look how did I like something better before, and make that change in the new sculptures, in the new version, so we can just upgrade it. Yeah, but eyes are starting. He's kind of like starting to look like Daniel Craig now a little bit. He's not even near the results at the end, but I hope you guys are getting some nice results as well at your Daniel Craig sculpts. And don't forget to send them to me so we can critique them together. And if you don't want me to critique them, but you just want me to take a look at them, just write that you just want me to take a look at them. Okay? Yeah, but that's starting to look pretty darn good. And now I'm just going around the sculpture again, you know, like you know the like routine now. I'm just going like around the sculpture, looking every single angle, and I look at a lot from above and underneath, because that's really important angles. And really, when you like pose your character later, or like gonna render him, it's really cool to have like an angle from underneath or above. So that's why I'm creating stuff like that. Going back and forth in timeline. Seeing do I prefer this guy now, and I would say so. I prefer him a little bit more now. Yeah, but you can probably see some like semblance of Danny Craig now. Make sure those planes are really starting to be nailed now, because the planes are getting very important to get the face structure. Yeah, now I saw I made the chin a little bit too big, but I did make some shapes that I needed, so I just gonna like push them together so the shapes are left, but the chin is a little bit smaller. There's some very easy tricks that really help. Yeah. So you can always like exaggerate the forms and then take them back. It's way easier to exaggerate them and bring them back than make them half the way and then make them more pronounced. That's way harder. So really be like overdo the shapes and then pull it back. You see, I'm started adding some wrinkles. Not wrinkles, the folds. Let's see if now if it's now I'm solving the mouth. Now it's nah, it doesn't look really good now, the mouth. Maybe solve it in this episode, otherwise it's like in the next one maybe. But you can at least see the base shape of the mouth is starting to look more like 007 than Craig. It looks a little bit too happy right now, so I think I'm changing the expression a lot throughout this video. I'm just looking at different parts of heads separate, so I can see where the likeness is and where the likeness is just doesn't exist. so I can work on that area more. Yeah, you can kind of like see how I'm just working with making sure that the mouth looks good. Then Craig has a pretty small mouth, so don't make it too big. Otherwise, he's gonna look like... He's still probably gonna look like a Craig, but something's gonna look very wrong. Yeah, but yeah, that's starting to look kinda nice now. And really, like, here you see I'm just exaggerating the muscles, or not exaggerating them, making sure that forms are nice and clean. It's really important that they are nice and clean, so you can add more shapes above them without them looking like too messy. So be sure to take your time and make every single shape really, really clean from the beginning. Yeah, but I think it looks a little bit weird at like the fold here, but otherwise it doesn't look fine. Yeah, it's a little bit of resembling. I know it isn't much. But this is a like little victory along the way, so just these little victories add up and you're gonna feel like more more and more self-confident about your sculpture along the way. From the beginning you are just panicking, but now I was still panicking at this stage, but I can see now when I look at this, like, again, it's coming together real nice. I'm just adding those eyebrows a little bit more strongly. Making sure. Yeah, I'm just indicating the like cheekbones a little bit more. Indicating all this anatomical stuff is really important, especially if the person is a little bit older. Now that Craig isn't very old, so I'm not gonna like pronounce them too much, because then, yeah, he's gonna look too old, as I said. But just indicate them very, very slightly so you have them there. That's really important. So remember that, guys. Yeah, now I'm just indicating the planes even stronger. It's super, super important that you really indicate the planes over and over again until they like are really nailed. I'm gonna like change the planes the entire way of the sculpture. I think I even changed some planes when I was like when I was like adding skin pores, and it's so oh, I need to change this, so made some new planes and it worked out. So yeah, really take your time. I'm just creating the eyes, or like making a little bit less volume in between here. That's really, really important. And the ears, his ears is kind of like very outwards like this, so make sure that you really like indicate that his ears are like outwards. But I hope you guys kind of like start to feel like it's starting at least to look like a human. I would hope so, or like the basic of the basic shapes of a human. It's a lot of more work to be done, but I still think it's kind of starting to look a tiny, tiny bit as Daniel Craig. And I do not say a lot. I say very, very little as Daniel Craig, but still starting to look like Daniel Craig. let's see here. Yeah, I'm just thinking of adding more and more volume to the mouth, making sure that the mouth looks a lot better. Yeah, I'm just fixing the overall volume, making that little like cavity underneath, like underneath the lip, because it really makes the mouth like pop from the rest of the face. I don't overdo it because that's gonna look really, really weird. Yeah, looking at the sculpture upside down can really be helpful to see if your shapes are clean enough or not. I think my shape looks like fine, not super nice, but they don't need to look super nice at this stage because it's still very, very rough. Just, yeah, so make sure to take a look from like upside down, and yes, I've told you guys like all different angles, so take advantage of all different kind of angles. Okay, let's see here now, what am I doing with the mouth? Just indicating a little bit of the mouth. I'm just taking it very carefully. Just doing the mouth very, very carefully so I don't like lose my sculpture. Just now like seeing how I want the nose to be. Like, there I try the skeleton. Do I see the skeleton base? You can kind of see like the skeleton base there. So that's really, really good if you can like kind of like see that. So I'm trying to figure out how I want the nose to sit. And that's not always so easy. I find it very hard to like figure out how I want the like overall important areas in the face to sit compared to one another. But to do them all together on a face, it's like makes it harder, but it also makes it look way better in the end. And why I'm decided to sculpt then a Craig was because I just because I love the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die. So I thought that, or I got really inspired to sculpt my own version of Dennis Craig's portrayal as James Bond. So there were I just got inspiration from a movie. Okay. Okay, let's see here now. Yeah, but overall shapes, they starting to like kind of work with each other now. Doesn't look so. They started to like. How should I say this in English? Like I have compared them enough to each other so they starting to get nice distance to each other, and the shapes flow into one another like it's supposed to do. So yeah, that make it look more like a face. Really make sure that the shapes are just flowing together very, very nicely. Now I'm just gonna sculpt some very, very, very basic ears. You can see I'm just like indicating that like cavity in the ear right there. Yeah, then just created that like curve on the ear as well. Let's create it very, very simply because honestly ears doesn't have a lot of anatomical skills. It doesn't have a lot with anatomical skills. It's more like just looking at reference and just sculpt what you see. but that at least give me some kind of like starting point for the ear, and that's really, really important. So yeah, but I think he started to get kind of more like Daniel Craig looking right now. Okay, now I'm using damn standard, I guess. Yes, I'm damn standard brush. Sculpting in the mouth very, very carefully. Here's the trick I learned, because I just was annoyed that the mouth didn't look like I wanted, so I just took the pressure on the tablet and just pressed as hard as I could, so got like this really like great cavity that really looked like the lip. And then I just took the like flattening brush and just made it flat, or not flat, I made planes on the lip, and it looked like the Craig lip, and I was like, whoa, that's a really, really nice trick to make lips. So now you know, guys, how to create this kind of like really lips like really, really fast. Because I had such I had a lot of problems with lips, but that just solved it right away. So I'm so happy that I figured that trick out. Yeah, Dennis Craig's mouth was, as I said before, very, very like, it's pretty small, so make sure that you don't make a lip that's this big. I also have a very, very small mouth, so if I would like make a portrait of myself and I would make my mouth really big, it wouldn't look like me anymore. So I really think about like the sizes of each and every feature on the face, and try to make them as close as possible. But that nose now is making him look kind of like Daniel Craig, together with the like mouth. You can kind of see how I'm just changing some very, very few adjustments to just make him look more and more like the actor. Keep changing small things, because that's all about what likeness is really all about. Just changing small things, and getting closer and closer to your reference. And you don't want to use like super flat reference. You want to use reference that where the actor kind of looks extra like wrinkly, or like all the shapes are extra clear, so you don't choose the most like best often like the best photos are those who has a lot of like shadow, so you can really like see the depth of different kind of planes and areas of the face. That's really makes it really more like easy for you to like create the character, I would say, at least. But I think it actually starting to get like, this is episode 2 and I think it's about to wrap it up. I'm not sure, I'm gonna take a look. Yeah, I'm about to wrap this episode up, guys. So I hope you liked this video. Was a blast to teach you guys about or continue to teaching you guys to sculpt Daniel Craig. It's the next episode we're gonna take more like really gonna work on the likeness a lot more, because yeah, it's starting to look like him, but the next one we really gonna make look like him like really a lot. So thanks for watching, hope you liked it. Subscribe, like, follow me on Instagram, and please contact me on Instagram if you wanted like me to critique your stuff that you have created with help of my tutorials. So thank you guys, and bye bye.